There were a lot of things that went over my head the first time I watched Black Swan. It was a few years before I saw it again. Between viewings, the film's impact stayed with me. I remembered certain obvious things like Nina's constant injuries, her psychotic spiral, and her final struggle. I also held on to the beautiful visuals such as the dancing, the elaborate makeup, and the exquisite acting. Since purchasing the film, I've watched it many more times and finally appreciate how, although each scene appears stark and spare, each prop, costume, and set design choice holds meaning, creating a densely layered work of art that serves as a masterclass in filmmaking. I have an essay on the colors used in the film, but this essay will be about the use and symbolism of mirrors and twin imagery. On first watch, I thought the film was simply about a dancer who develops a delusion that she's being replaced by either a doppelganger or by another dancer. That premise alone doesn't sound particularly interesting, does it? It almost sounds boring, but what makes the film truly compelling to watch is the way doubles are sneakily placed like Easter eggs throughout the scenes. Jordan Peele's Us does this too, and I love that film, but that's a video for another time. Well, maybe not, since I think just about every YouTuber has made a video about Jordan Peele's films. Let's look at the first shot. The film begins with a blackout, then a fade-in of Nina dressed as Odette alone on a completely dark stage. Right away we see that the floor serves as a type of mirror. Nearly all the floors in the film are black, but this dream sequence features a mirror-like floor. Generally, it's best to avoid mirror shine textures on the stage, but this is a dream sequence with metaphorical overtones. Nina herself is in the bright white spotlight in a pure white gown, and her reflection is part of the black floor. Already, she is mirrored by the darkness. Fun fact, the floor had to be digitally smoothed out to make it look mirror-like. Anyone who's been on a stage will tell you how scratched up and ugly the stage floor really is. The first actual mirror we see is when she's warming up before breakfast. Large mirrors like this one dominate many scenes. I'm not a filmmaker, but I've been in lots of plays, and as I said before, mirrors and other super shiny reflective surfaces are generally avoided because they may reflect towards the audience and play havoc with the lighting. I don't know for certain if the same goes for film sets, but I imagine it's probably the same rules for the same reasons. At the very least, you'd have to find creative ways to hide or digitally erase cameras and crew members, and this is done a lot for Black Swan. It definitely adds time and expense to making the film, so the inclusion of mirrors had to have been a deliberate choice in each scene. Dancers require mirrors in practice studios to keep an eye on their form, and obviously mirrors are important in dressing rooms for applying makeup and checking their costumes before they go on stage. Everyone has mirrors in their bathrooms for the same reasons, so it's not necessarily groundbreaking that mirrors would be seen in these rooms in this film. What's astounding is the number of times that mirrors are integrated into the actual scene. Mirrors are employed so frequently in the film that it's easy to not even notice them. They are more than just props or set dressing. Nina is constantly checking herself in mirrors, and characters have whole conversations in which their eyes only meet in the mirror. The first less obvious use of a mirror is when Nina is on the train. There are several scenes of her like this in which she is gazing at her reflection in the window. If you've ever taken a train at night or one that goes through a tunnel, you've probably noticed the creepy way that the windows are reflective but still dark. It's hard to see the details of your own face in a train window because they get lost in the darkness. She spies Lily in the distance in another compartment. She bears a passing resemblance to Nina. The scene shows how Nina is already beginning to peer at her Black Swan alter ego before she meets Lily. This is a subtle hint telling us that Lily isn't the Black Swan that Nina needs to confront, but rather the Black Swan within herself. The scene in the group dressing room takes place completely within mirrors. All the dancers have their backs to one another. They gossip about Beth without looking at one another directly, only looking at themselves or each other in a mirror. And there are tons of mirrors in this scene. Obviously, there's the huge ones above the vanities, but there's also the little circular ones on the vanities. I said in my video essay about the colors of the film that Beth is an older, unhappy Black Swan version of Nina. Nina sees herself in Beth. Initially, she idolizes Beth and hopes to become as revered as she is. Listen to the very first line of dialogue in the scene.
Did you see Beth today?
After Veronica says this, the first thing Nina does is look at her own reflection. She will see Beth later, but she already saw her earlier on the posters outside. And more importantly, she sees her in the mirror as she gazes at herself. Beth is talked about much more often than she is seen on the screen in the film, making her a sort of ever-present ghost haunting Nina. When Nina first hears Beth throwing a tantrum for being fired, she approaches Beth's dressing room, and the first thing she sees is not Beth, but a mirror. And in a moment of foreshadowing, Beth is slamming and throwing things at the mirror, making it look as though she is attacking herself. The first true doppelganger Nina hallucinates is immediately after her failed audition. She is stressed and upset by her failure. The stinging criticism from Thomas haunts her.
Not so controlled. Seducers. Not just the prince, but the court, the audience, the entire world. Come on. The fouettiere like a spider spinning a web. Attack it! Attack it! Come on!
This is more foreshadowing, as Nina will literally attack the Black Swan in the finale. He also mentions that Lily is there to replace someone else.
Straight off the plane from San Francisco, she's filling Rebecca's old spot.
The idea of being replaced by a sexier, more reckless version of herself begins to take hold of Nina, causing her to see visions of herself dressed in seductive, mysterious black outfits. There are lots of tiny round mirrors in the film, in the form of silver jewelry worn by the characters. If you take note, all the jewelry in the film is either silver, black, or white diamonds. No gold or other jewelry colors are ever seen. Silver is a prominent choice as we see it in places like Nina's and Beth's gowns at the gala. At first I wasn't sure what it meant, but now I think that the silver is meant as a type of mirror. Nina even has a tiny silver mirror on the back of her neck on this little necklace tag. In this scene where Nina has found she's been given the part of the Swan Queen, she's in the bathroom excitedly speaking to her mother. She leaves the stall and sees the word whore written in lipstick on the mirror. When she looks in the mirror, the word appears to be written across her body, somewhat like a scarlet letter, as a badge of shame for the world to see her perceived transgression. In my video about the colors of the film, I posited that because we don't see or hear anyone write this, and no clues are given as to who could have written it, that Nina may have done it herself while in a fugue state. This makes sense because even though she has rivals in the company, none of them seem likely to have done it. Veronica is upset but seems genuinely unaware of what went on in Thomas' office. Beth calls her a whore in a later scene, but seems to not be present at the dance studio and could not have known about Nina getting the role at this moment. All the other girls, even Lily, seem happy for Nina. Only Nina is aware that Thomas only gave her the role after he forced himself on her. She knows that he would not have given her the role if that encounter had not occurred. Therefore, she feels as though she compromised her morals in order to land the role. To make an addendum to my theory, it is also possible that Nina is hallucinating the word entirely, which makes more sense than her actually writing the word. She already hallucinates so many other bizarre things in the film, so I think it's totally possible that the word on the mirror is also a hallucination. When Nina visits Beth in the hospital, she again sees Beth's reflection before she sees Beth. Importantly, this is not a true mirror, but another dark reflection like the one on the train. It is suggested that Beth, despondent over being dismissed by Thomas, walked into traffic to end her life. This is strong foreshadowing of Nina's ultimate fate, as she shows multiple instances of self-harm until inflicting her mortal wound in the finale. The main struggle in the film is Nina's hesitance to embrace the Black Swan within her. If the White Swan represents angelic traits such as self-denial, docility, humility, and sexual innocence, then the Black Swan represents hedonism, brashness, arrogance, and promiscuity. Thus, the entire film shows Nina toying with, yet shying away from, the Black Swan within herself before finally embracing it. But the truth is that each person on Earth battles constantly with these impulses to different degrees, which informs their choices and personalities. No one is a total black or white swan, and to believe otherwise is naive. However, Nina's literal black and white thinking influences her perception of herself and others, so much so that she ends up splitting herself into two swans in this film's finale. However, the other characters also show two faces, so to speak, a set of good and bad twins within themselves that they do not struggle with the way Nina does. In many scenes, Lily approaches Nina, first as a friend, then mocks her.
So, do you want to talk about it? Someone's hot for teacher.
She later goes behind Nina's back to talk to Thomas about her, asking him to go easy on her, which leads Thomas to punish Nina. When they go out together, she puts the ecstasy away when Nina refuses it, but later puts it in Nina's drink. A person who acts kind and then mean, or says one thing and does another, may be considered two-faced. Thomas approaches Nina first as a professional colleague and mentor, before quickly crossing the line into abuser. In some scenes, he acts kindly, attentive, and warm by reassuring her and praising her abilities.
This is your moment, Nina.
You could be brilliant.
Every dancer in the world wants your role.
But in others, he accuses her of being weak, whiny, and stiff.
You shouldn't be whining in the first place. Now stop saying that. That's exactly what I'm talking about. Stop being so fucking weak. More. You're stiff. Stiff like a dead corpse. Let it go.
Nina's mother Erica goes from warm to cold within single scenes, not at random, but usually in response to Nina's growing independence. Look how she flips instantly from calm to psychotic in these scenes.
Oh, that's way too much.
It's a celebration. It's just this once.
Mom, my stomach's still in knots.
Then it's garbage. You've been drinking.
Ding, 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 ding.
What else?
There were two. There was Tom, there's Jay.
Be quiet, Nina.
And I fucked them both.
Shut your mouth!
I wouldn't go so far as to say that Erica is an abuser, because when Nina truly begins to suffer, her mother is there to care for her and protect her. But like Lily and Thomas, she vacillates constantly between White Swan and Black Swan traits. As I said in my original Black Swan essay, this leads to Nina having no one in her life she can rely on for steady, even guidance or support that doesn't come with emotional whiplash. I hope you enjoyed this look at twins and mirrors in Black Swan. If there's anything you think I missed, please comment and let me know. I really enjoy discussing this. Thanks for watching! Also, what's up with this mirror ball in the corner of the rehearsal space? It's in a few scenes and it puzzles me. If you know if it has a purpose other than set dressing, comment down below.